Don't forget to hand in your assignments by the end of next week. Farmers do not always receive the price for agriculture goods. I still don't understand the last sentence. I've got a tutorial in an hour and I haven't had any time to prepare for it. Students are held accountable for adhering to established community standards. This course will examine some of the profound ethical dilemmas. The date of the invention of the first clock is disputed among historians. Next time, we will discuss the influence of the media on public policy. Allergy problem do run in the family, but we don't understand why. I will now demonstrate how the reaction can be arrested by adding dilute acid. Tutorials are held for 2 hours every Thursday during semester. The Arts magazine is looking for a new assistant editor. Scientists are discovering that when you touch someone, you communicate very specific emotions such as sympathy, disgust, gratitude, or even love. The current issue of the scientific journal Emotion features a series of studies about touch. Reporter Michelle Trudeau touched base with the lead researcher. Michelle Trudeau, psychologist Matt Herdenstein from DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana decided to study touch while he was watching parents interacting with their babies, making faces and cooing sounds, squeezing, stroking, nuzzling them. Mr. Matt Herdenstein, DePaul University, and all of a sudden it struck me one day and I thought, I wonder if touch can communicate distinct emotions, much like the face and the voice. Michelle Trudeau, decades of research has been done on the face and the voice and the distinct emotions that they communicate. But touch has been relatively neglected by researchers until Herdenstein stepped in and began his experiments. Mr. Matt Herdenstein, we invited 2 participants into the lab. And we put a curtain up between those 2 people. Michelle Trudeau, so they couldn't see or hear each other. One participant, the sender, was told to try and communicate 12 different emotions, one by one, to the other participant, the receiver. Mr. Matt Herdenstein, the receiver would put his or her arm underneath the curtain, onto the sender's side. Michelle Trudeau, the sender would then touch the receiver's forearm, trying to communicate the specific emotion, such as envy, fear, love, embarrassment, anger, gratitude, pride, disgust. The receiver had to then decide which emotion was being communicated. To many people, the vast continent of Australia seems underpopulated with its current population of 17 million people. But this image is misleading. Much of the continent is inhospitable to humans, and the amount of agricultural land and available water is small compared with the total land area. Moreover, according to the Population Issues Committee of the National Population Council, NPC, there is a serious mismatch between distributions of available water supply and the population. Water supply is subject to high levels of seasonal and year-to-year variability, the land is severely degraded, the soils thin and vulnerable to depletion. 1992, p. 41. Additionally, many species in Australia have become extinct or are threatened by the expansion of human activities in their habitats. Australia has a high population growth rate compared with other high-income nations, mainly because of its high level of immigration. Although birth rates are below replacement level, there is also a natural increase in population levels. This is due to the lag effect of increases in population a generation ago, which resulted in increased numbers of women of childbearing age. There is very little agreement among scientists as to how many people Australia can support, and even less about what environmental impact high levels of population would have. Some biologists, geographers and environmentalists argue that Australia already has more people that the environment can cope with, and that a sustainable population level would be more like 10 million people. Drought, a recurring feature of the Australian landscape, is one of the biggest challenges farmers face and has a significant impact on agricultural output, productivity and on farm incomes. The Australian government is committed to supporting farm families, farm businesses and rural communities who are doing it tough. In recent years, the Australian, state and territory governments have been working together to reform drought policy to make sure farmers are better supported to prepare for drought, as well as providing in-drought assistance when needed. Building on the reform process and the range of assistance already available, In July 2015, the Australian government announced the Agricultural Competitiveness White Paper, which includes a number of additional measures to help farmers prepare for, manage through and recover from drought. These measures cover a range of activities including concessional loans, taxation measures, enhanced social support and local community infrastructure projects. Farmers can use many of the new, practical white paper initiatives not only to manage drought, but the broad range of production and business risks they face. While most of these measures are being delivered by the Department of Agriculture and Water Resources, some are being delivered by other government agencies such as the Department of Human Services, the Department of Social Services, and the Australian Taxation Office. Some programs are also being delivered by state and territory governments.
Would you measure volume of water in liters or kilos? What's the joint called where your hand is connected to your arm? What organ do cardiologists specialize in? If telescopes are used to locate distant objects, what instrument is employed to magnify minuscule objects? Which kind of punishment for a crime is the less severe, an imprisonment or community service? How many sides are there in a bilateral agreement? Which is the longest, a decade, a millennium or a century? A manufacturing process releases noxious gases. What is most important safety measure for workers at this plant, ensuring good ventilation, or appropriate footwear? A list of events placed in time order is usually described as what? If a figure is hexagonal, how many sides does it have?